Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Speaking Sessions podcast. I've got Clifton Muckenfuss here. It's a super hard name to pronounce. I've heard tons of people pronounce it totally different myself, and I guarantee he's done it or heard it more than myself. But Clifton is an entrepreneur with an extensive background in sales, marketing, and leadership, a graduate of Clemson University, holds a bachelor's degree in marketing communications with a minor in advertising. He is a co-founder of several service-based companies, one being a multi-million-dollar home improvement company. He's got a passion of hyper focus on client experience, and his companies have won numerous awards for service excellence. He's super energetic. He's results driven. He's a coach and consultant, and currently serves as the director of coaching at Win Rate Consulting, which specializes in contracting home service businesses. And he and I are going to talk about this a lot today, about how do contractors, how do service-based tradespeople really communicate their message. But he's also the founder of Building Raving Fans LLC, to provide businesses the tools to increase their online reputation, enhance client experience, and drive profits through its customers first life programs. And a personal perspective for him, Clifton enjoys football games, boating, or Clemson football games. I got to make sure I mention Clemson there. Boating, traveling, reading, working out, and spending time with his family, his wife, Marianne, and three children, Chase, Cody, and Cameron. And he actually just recently relocated to St. Thomas, which will be interesting to talk about as well. But man, I talked so much about you already, but we want to know a little bit more, Clifton. Tell us a little bit more about you that I didn't cover.
Cool, man. Hey, Philip, greatly appreciate that introduction. Super excited to be here with you and, your guest. I'll start at the end, right? You mentioned family man, my wife, Marianne, my son, Chase, who's 10, my son Chase, who's 12, my son, Cody, who's 10, my daughter, Cameron, who's 8. And that's my why. Those four people are the reason I get up every day, often when I don't feel like it, but they're the ones that I get up every day to make decisions, to be a positive influence and role model in their life. So I want to start there, but yeah, you nailed it, man. So I've owned a couple of service-based companies, one in which I grew from $0 in revenue to a multi-seven-figure company over 11 years in the construction space. And as we talked off air, I'm not your typical contractor, right? I didn't grow up, with tools in my hands. And in fact, I shared with you, to this day, I still don't understand and can't read a tape measure. But what I'm good at is understanding people and deploying that service-based tactical empathy to understand what is causing that person some pain. And then if I can produce a solution to relieve that pain, we oftentimes arrive at a place where they're happy. And so I had the fortunate pleasure of growing that company to a team of 12 full-time employees with all of our subs and tradespeople. We probably had no less than 70 running around at any given time. But I sold that business at the end of 2021 to really focus full-time on my passion and my purpose, rather, which is helping small businesses, especially in that contracting home improvement space, to really understand how to own a business and not own a job.
Man, and there's so many of these people in the trade space that really get stuck really just owning that job, and they're always in it on a day-to-day basis. And I know y'all at Win Rate Consulting are really doing that, and you specifically are doing that to really help these men and women really understand that. I appreciate you sharing your background there. I've got to ask the first question that I always ask: how did you get over the fear of public speaking?
Yeah, that's a great question. And transparently, admittedly, still there's times now where when I have an opportunity to go present to, a group of people, whether it's 10, 20, 200, whatever, there's times where I still have some of those anxious nerves, right? But what I do, Philip, is I just go to prayer, man. And I ask the Lord to really come into me and to use me as a vessel to share the message that I need to share on that specific day to that specific audience to make an impact. And the reality is, if I'm looking at a crowd of people, and again, if it's 10, 20, 200, I just need to impact one. And so by focusing on one instead of, oh my gosh, there's 200 people out here or 300 or whatever the number is, let my message connect with one. And so that really helps me sort of get over that fear and some of that anxiety.
Man, that's so awesome. I love that you go and pray about that and then really focusing on that one person. I think that's so important, especially as the audience gets bigger. Too often we think about focusing on the whole group, but if we focus on that one person, we're actually going to impact more than one person. But like you said as well, as long as I impact one person, that's what matters. But I want to ask you a little bit deeper question here. I don't normally ask this right after because I was talking offline and you kind of mentioned you have no clue about the trades industry. You don't even know how to use a tape measure. So how do you go talk to these trades people if you've never done that before? I think it's another thing a lot of people worry about when they go to speak, that, well, maybe they know more than me, or I feel maybe like an imposter, but how do you do that?
Yeah, Philip, you're exactly right. And so as I shared with you and I've shared with, tons of others, most tradespeople are good at their specific discipline, right? Maybe they're an electrician, maybe they're a plumber, maybe they're an HVAC technician, maybe they're a siding crew leader, whatever it is in their trade, a painter. Most of them are awesome in that chosen discipline. Where they lack is in the business world. Like most people think in the trades that, hey, I'm a great painter or I'm a great tradesperson. The natural progression is, let me go start a business. They say that, somebody has that entrepreneurial seizure, if you will, right? And they're like, wait a minute, I've been doing this. I'm going to go start a business, but they lack business fundamentals. And so I can teach you how to grow a business. I don't teach you on theory. That's important to note. I was never really a good student, so I don't quote textbooks and things like that or theory. I coach and train based on experience. There's no textbook that can replace experience in my mind. And so if I can, work with a tradesperson and say, hey, man, you're great at painting houses or painting buildings. Let me show you how to now connect with your prospects on a deeper emotional level so you don't have to work so hard. Let's figure out how to improve your processes so you can raise your prices so you don't have to work as much. You can have some time to spend with your friends and your family. And so that's my area of expertise, is really helping them understand the business side of business.
It makes so much sense. And we'll see where people are high performing salespeople or high performing engineers as well. And in a similar way, they get up into leadership, but they can't lead. They're great at the tactical day to day, the literal job. When it comes to leading people that are doing those jobs, they suffer. And that's essentially how building that business is. You become the leader automatically. But of course, you're not only just leading a team. Now you're having to make sure taxes are done right. You're having to make sure if that you've got everybody's schedule set up properly. You're managing teams here and there. I mean, there's so many things when it becomes a business owner. You're chief everything officer, as most people like to quote at that point. That's so important to be able to teach. And so that makes a lot of sense. So you focus on literally what you're good at. You don't focus on actually teaching them how to use a paintbrush properly or what type of paint that they should use, or this, if you cut this way, it works better, or use this tool. No, you're using that mind tool, if you will. You're giving them the tools that they need to actually create the business. And so you're staying in your lane, which is so important when it comes to speaking.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm going to back up for a moment and touch on something you just mentioned, is that, sometimes people are good at a specific role and then they all of a sudden find themselves in leadership. The worst thing that can happen is you take your highest performing sales rep and all of a sudden he's now sales manager.
Mm.
Just because you're good at sales doesn't mean you're good at leading people.
Yeah.
It's a completely different skill set. And it's funny, my clients, if they listen to this or see this, they will tell you that I get into them and I'm like, hey man, you're not in the plumbing business. You're not in the, construction business. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're in the people business.
Mm.
They're different businesses.
Yeah.
Right. And so we really try to help them understand that, hey, when you're in the people business, it's totally different than when you're actually doing a specific job. So I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's such a great point because that it's hard to do that because you're stuck in I do this process. This is my process. This is the thing that I do. And now all of a sudden you're right. You have to start focusing on the people. And it almost feels like you're not doing any work because you're constantly working on those relationships and communicating properly with these people versus doing a job, seeing an actual result, which is a hard thing for many people is that you're doing something but you're not really seeing a result. And I see that from like a coaching perspective as well. It's hard to sell this theory of you're going to get these results but they're not really tangible results, like, hey, after my coaching you'll start making x amount a month, or we're going to increase your sales by 50%, or there can be, but a lot of times there isn't this whole exact thing that's tangible that people can see that outcome, but it just kind of works in a way. So it's definitely a different mindset and perspective. You have to realize that happens when you go from being that operator to being that leader or business owner.
Yeah, man, you're exactly right. And I'm going to touch on that. It's when you coach and consult with business owners, it is much different than, say, if you're going to go listen to a digital marketing company talk to you. They say, hey, based on this strategy, we expect this number of leads, this much traffic, all of that. So they have kind of like a tangible result that you can expect if things are executed on. In the coaching and consulting space, yes, it's a little bit different, but it's also similar. And what I mean by that is I take my clients through what I call, and what I've done inside my own companies is, I have this time, task, good at, enjoy exercise, right? So I get my clients to write down every task that they do inside their business. Then I get them to write the amount of time that they spend on that task.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then I get them to self-assess. Are they good at the task? Then they self-rate, do I enjoy? And at that point, if they take it seriously, they've got this matrix in front of them that they can then say, all right, is there someone on my team that I can delegate these tasks to? And if there's not, now that shows me where I need to hire. And by doing the delegation or the hiring, I've freed up this amount of time. And if I free up this time to focus on the activities that I'm good at and enjoy that move the business forward, that's where the results come from. So it's a little bit different, but there are some similarities in those metrics.
Yeah, definitely. And so how would you communicate to, I know you talked about it a little bit, but you yourself or these business owners or just became business owners, how would they work on communicating? Because I know a lot of times it's misconstrued based on the worker bee, if you will. They see leadership and it looks like they're just always in meetings, or they're always like planning stuff and they're having these conversations, but they're never actually doing work, because you can't really see that work that they're doing because it's more a strategic work. So how do you help them, and how do you yourself communicate with the employees on this matter?
Great question. It's almost tied back to what I'm hyper focused about client experience. And what I mean by that is it's our job as leaders to help our team understand what the mission and vision is of the company. Right. So let's start there. Let's start with, what are the core values of the company? What's the mission and vision of the company? That's one. Two, how does each individual role or person fit into the mission and vision. So now when we are having meetings or planning and somebody might have a question about it, like, man, is he really doing anything over there? I'm proactively communicating to the team, hey, listen, we're planning this initiative over here because it's tied to the mission and vision this way, which impacts your role. And this is how I see you playing a role in the mission and vision. So as long as you're proactively communicating and how they impact the mission and vision, they can really kind of get bought in on that.
That's such a good point. And a lot of leaders, a lot of managers, I would say more manager than leader. And I make that distinction because managers basically just manage the people. They don't really try and lead them and help them understand where they fit into that vision. A lot of people are just managing the people, but yeah, giving them that vision to understand where they fit, because people want to feel needed. They want to feel wanted. So if you can show them, hey, here's where you fit. But then also the cool thing with this is that you can show that, hey, if you want, maybe you've been thinking about leadership, but then I start telling you about the things that I work on as the leader behind the scenes. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't really like that. I don't want to be stuck in meetings and only thinking about things. I'd rather work with my hands. I think it's kind of twofold there. One, you're helping people understand where they fit within the company, within the vision and the mission, but then also you're showing that, hey, this is what it looks like when you become that leader. So they're getting that exposure without you having to try and create this succession plan or really coaching them and training them on to become the leader. Once they're at that point, they can kind of start seeing it for themselves and really disqualify or qualify themselves based on that.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Philip. I like that. If you think about EOS, right, the entrepreneurial operating system, one, you got to have the right bus, right? Is our company the right bus? And then on the right bus, do we have the person in the right seat? Right? So if we have the right bus and we have the right seat, now do we have the right person in the right seat on the right bus? And so, I'm all about giving people opportunities, or at least talking to them about opportunities. Like, here's the one thing I've also uncovered in people is that as coaches, and one of the biggest benefits that you can probably attest to is that as coaches, we often see things in our clients that they have no idea exist. Right? We're often our own worst critic. And so if I can look at someone's performance and what they're doing and how they're carrying themselves and how they're connecting with people, whether it's internally or externally, I may say, hey, have you ever thought about leadership? Because what you're doing as, your daily course of activities, you're actually leading people. And so helping them understand, what that next role looks like. And then again, if they want it, then you got to have gets it, wants it, and the capacity to do it. Do you get it? Yes, I get the mission and vision. Do you want that? Actually, I don't. I'm not going to penalize someone if I think they belong in a new role and they don't want it. Yeah. That's doing that person a disservice, right? And let's face it, if everybody wanted to be a leader, nobody would go pick up the pencil to hand to the leader, right? To take notes with. Yeah. But I really want people to see, beyond their current role. And if they want it, hey man, how can I help you get there?
Exactly. And with that too, like communicating, this is what I think a lot of leaders or managers miss out on, is that they don't have that conversation. And because they don't have that conversation, the person that's the worker bee, they're trying to figure out what's that next step for them. And they would think management, but then they're getting passed over because there's never that conversation. But guess what? If I'm the person that's just working and the leader comes and talks to me about it and what that leadership role looks like, and I decide for myself, you know what, that's not for me, then I'm going to feel a bit more satisfied as the person that stays the worker and not become the leader, because now I know, you know what, that's really not for me. That's not what I want to do. But these conversations don't happen. For whatever reason, they don't happen. And it blows my mind. But if you just simply have the conversation, you could create so much better culture within your company.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we coach and train on is how to be better leaders, right? No. I mean, there's so many companies that Fortune 10 companies probably that don't even focus on true leadership. They talk about these people are in leadership positions, but a true leader is one that's pouring into the people on their team and helping them become leaders.
Yeah.
So if people on your team are not ascending into leadership positions, you're actually not a leader yourself.
Yeah.
But so that's what we work with our clients on is, hey, how can we help you create additional leaders inside of your organization? And so we help them understand that, hey, these are specific qualities and characteristic traits that you need and that you exhibit. And now these are the things you need to do to help your people on your team do the same.
Man, I love that. And man, it's such a important point. And just to kind of give the plug here for that, where can they go if they want more information on that real quick? I know we'll talk about it at the end, but I feel like this is a good point just to plug that in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my role as the director of coaching at WinRate Consulting, check us out, winrateconsulting.com. This is what we do, right? Working with the tradespeople or business owners. I mean, we have a variety of clients, some that are, $250,000 a year up to, 10, 15 million plus. And so that's why there's not really a one size fits all. Everybody is in a different season of their business. And the good thing about it is our coaching staff, every one of us has grown a business at least from zero in most cases up to a sustainable 7-figure company. So
yeah, I definitely will vouch for them. A lot of great coaches in there, great group as well. But I appreciate you sharing that real quick. So let's change it just a slight bit. So we're talking about these business owners, service-based small business owners. They're kind of at the point where they really want to take that next step, that their business is running well. They've got those systems and processes in place. They can actually step away from the business finally. They don't have to be in the business or even working on the business. Other people are kind of working on that for them. And now they've got this itch. They want to be able to help impact more people. They want to help other tradespeople. And like we talked about offline, man, I'm a little scared what's going to happen in the next 10 or 20 years. All these old guys that know so much are going to be gone. They're going to be retired. And we don't have a lot of young people doing it because it's, oh, go be an engineer, go be a programmer, go get you a soft, cushy 9-to-5 job. And we don't have anybody to build the buildings, to build the houses coming up. So how can they go out and whether it be on stage or just being on social media, podcast or whatever, what are some ways that they can go and communicate effectively and efficiently to be able to help other people learn about the trades industry?
yeah, you're exactly right. And it's something that, industry experts are predicting, there's going to be this huge, fall off. Trade schools aren't getting a lot of love. They don't get a ton of funding and stuff like this. But here's what I would say. If you're a business owner and you actually have been able to step away from the day-to-day, you've really elevated yourself into that CEO role, like a true CEO role, so your business doesn't depend on you. I would just ask you, and I've asked some of my clients, hey, what motivates you? What do you want to be known for? How do you continue to make the impact that you want to make? And if you have all of this knowledge, right, and you don't go share that, you're doing the marketplace and your legacy a disservice. Right. And so you need to be going out and sharing that message. We talked earlier, about just impacting one person. Get out there because you never know who you're going to help. So if that means you literally pick up your cell phone and start shooting selfie videos about and dropping your knowledge and talk about your journey, that's going to connect with at least one person out in the World Wide Web and the internet, right? And so, but again, I'm always focused on the fact that if you don't share what is in your mind or what is in your head in that file cabinet, you're selfish. And you're doing the marketplace, and especially the trades that you love, that you grew up in, perhaps, that you've grown a business, you're doing that industry a huge disservice.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the other thing too, it's what's made you successful in some way, shape, or form. It's something that you've loved. It's been your life. why aren't you working to pass it on to the next generation? And guess what? Unless if somehow you could magically snap your fingers and get another 1,000 or 10,000 employees working for you, you can't do all the work that you do. And you already know, you're the business owner. You know this. You cannot get that many people that quickly. So why not try and help other people out to be able to learn as well? Because, and I know you believe this as well, Clifton, there really is no true competition. There's so much opportunity out there that there's not really true competition. Yes, we do have competition. We do compete for the same thing, but there's so much opportunity. If we think of it this way, we can create more of that impact. And guess what? By speaking, you're going to be able to show people who you are, and they're going to want to work with the guy or the girl that they know, that they see doing the business. And that's what differentiates your small business from another small business as well, is that they know you, the person. Is that okay, cool. Like, I know people that build houses, I know people that paint, but cool. I mean, I can hire anybody. Just like I can go get Sherwin-Williams paint, but there may be a better paint out there, but I don't know it because this painter never taught me that. Or you know what? Okay, that sounds like you really know what you're doing. I'm going to bring you in because I've gotten to know, like, and trust you through you talking to me as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, man. And there's, when you get in front of audiences, and speaking engagements, and let's get one thing clear. You don't have to be on a stage speaking to a football stadium, right? I think that's one thing that people, they hear public speaking and their mind immediately goes to this huge elaborate stage, the bright lights, there's 80,000 people there, and they're like, oh my gosh. This could be in a local chamber of commerce meeting with 5 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The point is, when you get in front of people and you become the authority in your space, a couple things happens. One, you don't have a recruiting problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because people are like, wow, that guy is the authority in this space, in this market. He's clearly articulated his core values. He's living his core values. He's clearly articulated his mission and vision. The results speak for themselves. He's got an incredible online reputation. All of his business is repeat and referral. I want a part of that. I want to be a part of that mission. One of the things at my company is, like, in 11 years, we had 2 people leave. One was not a culture fit. It was a hire out of desperation. So that's on us. We're gonna admit that. The other, the lady retired. Right? So we had no turnover, but we had people beating down our door wanting to work for us. All of our tradespeople, they were all subcontractors. Guess what? Every single one of them was a referral from somebody already on our team. Wow. Because we were out there in the marketplace. We were becoming an authority. So the same thing here. If you elevate into the CEO role and the business doesn't depend on you day to day, get out there. Establish the relationships. You mentioned know, like, and trust. People love to do business with people they know, like, and trust, but also ones that are authentic. Too much in social media right now. You know this. Everything looks glitz and glam on social media, but when you start to peel it back, things are in complete disarray.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting out there and becoming the authority in your space and in your area is I can't underscore the importance of that enough.
So what are some ways, just some tactful ways for these tradespeople to be able to share what they do and be able to help people? Because it almost sounds like, okay, get out there, but what does that mean? What does getting out there mean? Okay, getting on the stage, what I do, what would I talk about? So what are some suggestions that you would give for them to talk about? And you can give a specific example. I think it would probably be best.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the easiest thing that doesn't cost any money, because everybody thinks about, all right, if I got to do this, it's got to be expensive and this and that and the other. Again, I mentioned it earlier. Pull out your cell phone, right? Capture some video and start putting that on Instagram, social media, other platforms, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever. Share your journey, right? Talk about where you came from. Talk about your team. Talk about why people decide to do business with you, and do it consistently. The problem is with Amazon has conditioned everybody, we got to have it now, right? We got to order it now, and it's got to be there now. So we live in this instant gratification society. So what happens is people post one video on social media. It doesn't get, 1 million likes, and it doesn't go viral, and they stop. Stop posting videos on social media about your story and about your team and about your company and about your journey, looking for engagement. Go into that. If I share this video, does it have the potential to impact one person? And if it does, do it, and do it again, and do it another time, and do it yet another time. I mean, I have coached my clients on the power of video. It cannot be denied. In fact, my phone blows up almost daily in the DMs with people, hey, I saw your video. Hey, can we have a conversation? Which has led to speaking engagements for me to go out and share that message to other groups. Video is the way.
Yeah, it definitely. And have in mind who that person is. Like you mentioned, that one at the very beginning, you want to impact that one person, and you just mentioned here too. But who is that one person? Not just, I hope my video impacts somebody. Be more specific about it as well. I mean, you were intentional when you got married to your wife. When you started talking to her, you had the intention of getting to know her and speaking to her in a way that she would like you as well. So the same thing when you're speaking on that video, are you speaking in a way that the person can understand you're trying to talk to them and help them learn whatever that specific thing is as well. So make sure you're specifically talking to a specific person also. And guess what? You're going to talk to a ton more than one person. But if you're just talking generically, you're not reaching anybody.
Absolutely, man. You definitely do need to know who your avatar is. Who am I speaking to? Another thing you could do, which is, again, free, is go to your local chamber of commerce. Most of those places have mentor programs. Right? Back in my hometown where we moved from, recently, they had a launch program where small businesses went and got mentorship from other successful business owners in the community. I mean, it's free because it doesn't cost you anything other than your time. But if you have elevated, to your point, into the CEO role, well, you hopefully have gotten there because you now have more free time. Mm-hmm. So, get on social media, share those videos, go to your local chamber meetings, ask, who here can I possibly mentor and pour into?
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, Chamber of Commerce is a great way. And guess what? You're going to go back, and specifically with the trades industry, that Chamber of Commerce are getting into some of these government entities where you can really help make a change. Guess what? You're going to be able to change how things are viewed for the trades industry as well. So get involved in your local community. That's where it all starts.
Absolutely.
Clifton, man, dude, this has been so awesome. So much great information. I'm loving this subject. I know you're very passionate about it, and I can see that passion. But I got to ask the question, if you could only share one message for the rest of your life, what would that message be?
Yes. And it's really going to hit home for the people that have children. And I need you to understand this. Your children don't care how much money you make. Your children don't care how big your business is. Your children don't care how hard you work. Your children care about the memories you create with them. We talked about it a little bit offline about your father. And I'm not perfect at this by any stretch. In fact, it took my 9-year-old writing me a letter a year and a half ago for it to really hit home for me, where he poured his feelings out on a piece of paper that says, Dad, I can remember when we used to go outside and throw football, and we used to do this and we used to do that. Now you barely have time to even do your workouts, and I miss that. Gives me chills thinking about it, man.
Same here.
And so the message would be intentional with the people that are in your life. And again, building a business sounds great. But guess what? When you die, is your business going to carry on, or is the memories and the legacy that you created with those that you love, is that going to carry on? Or are you going to just be, oh, he had a great business?
Yeah, man, that's wow, man. I got chills from that. And kind of ironically, this morning from when we're recording this, I made a post about that. My daughter, I just sitting there and I'm like, man, I've got to write my book. I've got these things that I need to do, all this business stuff that I need to work on. But I'm here in the moment with her. I realize I need to be here because soon she's gonna be married. It's gonna fly by, and I'm not gonna have this time with her being 1 years old. So, man, that's so true. Like, be there in that moment, and I posted in there as well. Just yeah, the business, I want that to grow. I want it to be wildly successful. I wish it was wildly successful now, but if it takes me an extra 5 years, an extra 10 years, it'll be worth it because I won't be able to get that time back with my daughter. And the reason why I'm building the business anyways is for her. So if I'm neglecting that why, what's the point of me doing the business? It's for the why, but I'm neglecting the why. So make sure that you're not neglecting whatever your why is. I mean, Clifton, I really appreciate sharing that. And that's definitely something valuable that a lot of people need to hear about. So I want to hear you speaking about that more on social media and on some stages too.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Again, we talked about it earlier. I don't talk about theory. I talk about experience, and it's something that, hit me. And again, if your why is your family, then focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not perfect, right? But I'm getting better 1% every single day, man.
Yeah. Well, let me ask this question. I'm going to ask a follow-up here, but do you feel like your business got better when you started focusing more on your family again?
I can 100% say that my business got better when I started focusing more on that, getting intentional. But it's amazing. It got even exponentially better when I started giving everything away. And that's what people don't realize. I gave more at church. I gave more of time. I gave more free value to people. I would sit down with people and just pour into them. And guess what, man? We talk about givers gain. I didn't give with the expectation of gaining. There is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I gave and give now just to give.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing so, man, I am one of the most blessed people that walks around on the planet. And that's why when people say, hey, man, how you doing? My response is, hey, man, I'm somewhere between exceptional and fantastic.
Yeah, you said that to me offline, man. I love that. It's definitely something that's catchy as well. Not that you're meaning it to be catchy, but it's still like, man, okay, instead of just, oh, I'm good, like most people say, I'm guilty of that too. I love that, man. But all of you that are listening, go listen to this last 5 or 10 minutes. Those last two things we just talked about, man, I'm floored by that. And that's going to be what really changes your life, changes your business, changes everything for you. Go listen to that last 5 to 10 minutes. But Clifton, if people want to get that free value from you, no, I'm just kidding. If I'm sure you'll give it to them for sure. But if people want to follow you, they want to see your journey and everything, where's the best place for them to follow you and reach out to you?
Yeah, man, you can find me on Facebook, at Clifton Muckenfuss, on Instagram at Boats and Bourbon, two things that I enjoy. And then, of course, on LinkedIn as well. You can go visit buildingravingfans.com. And I would encourage, I have a daily dose of motivation text thread that I send out every single Monday through Friday. Every morning, it's a way to get your day started with some inspiration, some motivation, something to kind of get your day prepared for winning. Go sign up for that. I'm not going to spam you with a bunch of offers or anything like that. Go to buildingravingfans.com, sign up for the daily dose of motivation. And it might be that one message that you get in the morning that completely changes your life.
Love it. Well, Clifton, thanks again for coming on and sharing so much value, insight, and these deep conversations right here at the end as well. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Philip. It's been a pleasure.